ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, we are going to be continuing on with our Harry Potter franchise retro reviews. And for the next stop, we are going to be going to Azkaban, with the third installment in this franchise, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So this third installment was the first time that director Christopher Columbus was no longer in the chair, and replacing him was director Alfonso Cuaron. So what did this new director do to set his film apart from the previous two, and why do many consider this to be the best of the franchise? Well, I think it's about time we found out. Before I get into the actual review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my retro reviews. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And with all that being said, let's hop right into things. The first big positive that I wanted to bring forward about this movie is that it is much darker and more mature than the previous two. This one right here was the shift for the franchise from a much more kid-oriented movie series to a more serious and mature audience-oriented series. And if you ask me, it was very much so for the better. Alfonso Cuaron in the director's chair offered up a very unique vision and style that was incredibly different from the previous two. And to be truthful, it's actually quite different from anything that followed as well. Just like the positive I had for the first two films, this one is also very accurate to the source material. Once again, it is among the shorter books in the series, but its movie clocks in at 2 hours and 22 minutes, so it does a pretty good job at covering it all. Another huge positive I can give this movie is that it does a superb job at expanding the world and adding more depth to its existing elements. We learn more about Azkaban, the Dementors, Harry's backstory, and his parents' lives. We also get to learn and meet a bunch of new creatures, and overall, it just offers up a lot more emotional beats than its two predecessors. This was Michael Gambon's first appearance as Dumbledore, after the tragic passing of Richard Harris. And not only was he a worthy replacement, but in the eyes of many, he is Dumbledore, as he continued in the role from this point on until the end of the series. One thing from this movie that I am very happy to now place in the positive section is the fact that the CGI is vastly improved from the first two films and actually still holds up quite well today. Despite its much darker tone, it still leaves a lot of room for some fun and goofy bits, like the Boggart sequence, the discovery of the Marauders map, Harry messing with Malfoy and his gang, and of course, the night bus. Oh, and how could I possibly forget about Gary Oldman taking on the old ratty shoes of Sirius Black? We don't get much of him in this one, but he does more than enough to make an impact. And David Thewlis is marvelous as Professor Lupin. Oh, and of course Emma Thompson is weird, quirky, and wonderful as Professor Trelawney. Buckbeak has to be probably my favorite creature of this entire franchise, and Harry and Buckbeak's first flight is downright iconic. The time travel sequence is likely my favorite sequence of the entire franchise and only further adds to this film's rewatchability. Speaking of Hermione punching Malfoy straight in the face was not only satisfying but undeniably badass. And the first time we meet a Dementor has to be one of the eeriest, creepiest, and most memorable moments of this entire franchise. And I know for one from watching this from a very young age that it most definitely scarred the lives of many children. The last little thing I wanted to address in the positive section is the ending sequence with Harry casting the Patronus. It is both beautiful and mesmerizing as he saves himself from a different time and Sirius Black from certain death. It is one of the series' most breathtaking and captivating moments. And this is going to be a pretty quick review overall, I think, because I have no negatives with this movie. Yeah, and that is actually the truth. I love this movie through and through. The only thing that I find a little bit weird in this one is I guess like some of the transitions are very like early 2000s. But really, that's not enough to knock down the score at all. At the end of it all, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is a fantastic flick. It was a pretty big step up in my mind from the previous two flicks, despite how much I adore those movies. That being said though, and despite me having no negatives with the movie at all, I still don't think it quite reaches that 10 out of 10 status. But it does come pretty damn close because I'm going to be giving Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban a 9.5 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. And while you're at it, feel free to let me know what you would score Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban out of 10 and what your favorite moment from the movie was. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.